Hello, and welcome to Sports Update. We'll be looking at the latest sports from around the region and beyond. I'm Braden Parks.
We'll also look at college football across the nation and check out the latest happenings in all pro sports. I'm Victoria Guerra, and this is Sports Update on EUTV. Well, we had, some sports going on this weekend. We've got volleyball going away, and we had a lot of away games, so it was kind of quiet here on campus and in the Springfield area. We didn't have much games going on, but away we've got those. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what we've got going on in volleyball.
All right. After defeating Mount Mercy 3-2, the women's volleyball team increases their record to 6-5 in conference play. Evangel's offensive power delivered a clutch performance, hitting at a 412 clip in the fifth set. Regan Astley hit at a 400 clip with 14 kills, with setters Victoria Fishback and McKenna Miller each having 26 assists. Aaron Russell recorded 34 digs, while Bridget Peterson finished with 5 blocks. On Tuesdays, the Crusaders will return home to play their last homestand of the season, hosting 4 straight matches against conference leader Central Methodist.
The men's soccer team is still looking for another win for their season. The Crusaders were unable to score against the Grandview Vikings, marking their 4th shutout this season for Evangel. Offensively, the team came up short, only having 2 shots in the first half, and the Vikings striking first in the 13th minute of the game by Alessandro Vendetti. 5 minutes later, the Vikings score again, and in the second half, the Crusaders only had 1 shot, while the Vikings scored 2 more goals. Defensively, the Crusaders' Anthony Morales finished with 15 saves. Final score 4-0 Grandview.
EU women's soccer remains undefeated in conference play with a victory over Grandview this Saturday. This win likely places the Crusaders in the Hart postseason tournament for the first time in school history. Bianca Biffert and Shannon Murphy each scored in the first 15 minutes of the game. The Crusaders held the lead throughout the second half to defeat Grandview 2-1. On Wednesday, the Crusaders will face off against 8th-ranked Central Methodist, who is also undefeated in conference play.
The cross-country team traveled up to Fayette, Missouri over the weekend to compete in the Gary Stoner Invitational hosted by Central Methodist. Teams across the Hart Conference, including Central Methodist, Baker, Graceland, and Benedictine, to name a few, also competed. Both men and women had top 10 finishes, with Shane Burns on the men's 8K and Leslie Perona on the women's 5K. The team will run in the NAIA Mid-State Classic on the 26th of October and then return back to Central Methodist for the Hart Championships next month.
So lots of big things coming up this weekend, and a lot of good things that happened last weekend as well.
Most definitely. We've got Evangel facing Benedictine for they're going to be, which Benedictine was going to be, they were number 2, but after their loss, they went down over there to 16, so it's kind of see how they were going to go with that as well. And so
yeah, and the Crusaders are in a good spot, coming off that huge 65-0 homecoming win, and also off of this bye weekend. So lots of rest, lots of spirits riding high to face a now number 6 Benedictine.
Yeah, so it'll be exciting to see that as well.
Up next, we'll be interviewing Ethan Swick of the athletic department. We'll be right back.
Catch all the HD broadcasts of Evangel Sports on EUTV through livestream.com. EUTV features weekly programs like Sports Update and Newswatch Today. You can also see award-winning student films from Evangel filmmakers. Evangel University Television broadcasts to Evangel dorms on channels 12 and 35-1. You can also find EUTV on Mediacom Channel 84 in Springfield. And now, EUTV is on livestream.com. Broadcasting on the web 24 hours a day. So check it out. Go to livestream.com, enter EUTV in the search box, and click on the EU icon. EUTV, the home of edutainment.
Oh, thank you. Did you see anyone's broccoli? Thanks for helping us. do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
The world is waiting for you to make an impact in the career field God has called you to. He has equipped you with the creativity, skills, and talents you need to be successful. And at Evangel, you'll be empowered with a dynamic education and a spirit-led community that will help turn His design into your life's calling for global ministry in every vocation. Unleash your potential. Visit us today.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
I'm here with Ethan Swick. Thank you, Ethan, for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be here on EUTV.
So why don't you tell us what you do here at Evangel?
Yeah, so I currently work in the sports information department as the creative content assistant. And so my job has kind of moved into bringing more and more video content and promotional material to like our Facebook page and Twitter, and even setting up events for like our actual games. So we have videos playing on the screens and a lot of cool stuff like that. You know, shooting B-roll and broadcast. It's a very wide position, I suppose.
That's cool.
And doing a lot
That's
of
awesome.
video. Yeah.
So how long have you been at this position?
I started this position on September 1st, but during college, actually, I worked as a work study in the office, kind of doing similar stuff, but on a lower scale, just shooting kind of B-roll and working with the other broadcasters. So it's cool to kind of see how it's evolved into this bigger position.
For sure. So what's the biggest thing that has changed between the atmosphere of the work study and then to how now you're in this as a job?
Well, I guess there's a little more responsibility, and it's a little more intensive. There needs to be more and more content coming through. It's all very timely. We have to have events ready, videos ready for upcoming events and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot more responsibility that comes from being a work study to actually, working in the office alongside these other people that have been doing it for years.
For sure. So what's the team like in the office of sports information?
Yeah, so I currently work with Philip Dowden, who is the sports information director. He works directly underneath our sports director, Dennis McDonald. And so that's really cool to work with Phil. He's been in the business for a long time, and he's worked at a lot of different schools. But I also work with another female. Her name is Kelly Heath, and she's also kind of the same level as me. She does a lot of social media type stuff. She'll write news stories for our games and kind of keep the website updated on how our games have been going and what stuff we have upcoming next.
So once you gather all the statistics, all the information, what's the process like to get a summary or to get the information up on that website?
Well, we usually wait until the games are over, and then immediately we go to our computers or wherever our offices and start typing up a little report. It's almost like a media writing, just a news story in a sense, kind of a feature story of how the game went, and kind of describing, not quite play by play, but keeping some details in there while keeping a lot of relevant information, so we know how the scores went, who did a lot of kills, or maybe who scored touchdowns and who had a lot of good runs, that sort of thing. And so then it can be published usually within like an hour of the game, and people can kind of keep up on how it's going.
Awesome. So how does that differ from the broadcasting process in terms of time and in terms of editing and the process with that?
Yeah, so as opposed to kind of our printing and our writing, the broadcasting takes a lot more work before the game even starts. So usually we get there a couple hours early, and we set up all the cameras, and we have our whole setup ready to go, and we'll have our people trained and everything. So it's a lot of preparation, and then we're working all throughout the games to kind of produce a professional broadcast that can kind of rival the schools that we are in our district, because everybody's doing broadcasting now. So it's really keeping up with the Joneses on how well we can produce our stuff. And so it takes a lot of preparation beforehand to really set the bar.
So would you say that we have one of the better programs then for sports information and broadcasting?
I would like to say so, and not to just, I guess, toot our own horn, but we're doing really well. And the past couple years, we've been able to really evolve our program. We've been using a lot of new systems. We've been buying new equipment every year. So it's been a gradual process to really get us up to a more professional level with our broadcasts.
Great, and I understand you were very involved with student media here and producing and Sports Update and all of that. So how was that experience transitioned into your job now?
Yeah, so being able to work on Sports Update while I was in college was a good way to kind of prepare me for working more in the sports world, I suppose, especially with doing broadcasting here, because we use a very similar setup here that we would use on the football field or at a basketball game. 3 cameras and directing, people back in the booth. It's a really good experience to be able to work in a more professional setting, I would say.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So one last question. How can more students get connected and get involved and actually read and watch these things that you're putting out?
Absolutely. First and foremost, anybody can go to evangelathletics.com and stay up to date on all of our games, and all of our broadcasts can be watched right there, all in one place. If anybody would be interested in working with us, perhaps like working at broadcasting games or being able to shoot photography or a number of media-related jobs, they can always get in contact with me or Philip Dowden in the Sports Information Office. We're located just right in the Ashcroft Center, right around the corner, so you can find us in there, and we'd be happy to kind of connect students with jobs that they'd be interested in performing.
All right, great. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Coming up, we will be reviewing college football, Chiefs versus the Texans, and some MLB updates. Stay tuned.
Campus where students encounter a living Christ.
Guys, we're living the best years of our lives at Evangel University. This year's gonna be the best one yet.
The world is waiting for you to make an impact in the career field God has called you to. He has equipped you with the creativity, skills, and talents you need to be successful. And at Evangel, you'll be empowered with a dynamic education and a spirit-led community that will help turn His design into your life's calling for global ministry in every vocation. Unleash your potential. Visit us today.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
The St. Louis Cardinals are looking for their first win in the National League Championship against the Washington Nationals. The Nationals currently lead the series 2-0 after defeating the Los Angeles Dodgers for a chance to play in the World Series. Manager Dave Martinez said when talking about their season, this year has definitely not been scripted. As the Nationals won the first 2 games, St. Louis's last win was against the Braves to take the division. World Series is set to begin on October 22nd.
The Texas-OU rivalry is older than the state of Oklahoma. These two teams have been enemies since Oklahoma was still a territory. Last Saturday, they faced off at the Cotton Bowl. Oklahoma was winning, rising to defeat Texas, and OU's defense stifled the Longhorns, holding them to 310 yards while recording 9 sacks. Oklahoma's offensive excellence was led by receiver CeeDee Lamb, who had 10 catches for 171 yards. Perhaps the most important and most impressive performance from Lamb was his elusiveness, as he was able to juke, dodge, and spin his way to 3 touchdowns. Final score, 32-27. The Kansas City Chiefs fall to 4-2 after losing their second consecutive game. The Houston Texans dismantled the injured Chiefs defense to secure a win in Arrowhead. Deshaun Watson threw for 280 yards with 1 passing and 2 rushing touchdowns. Former Chief Carlos Hyde ran the ball for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. While Patrick Mahomes was still able to put up 273 yards with 3 touchdowns, the Texans forced Mahomes' first interception of the season. Kansas City played Sunday without 6 starters, including Chris Jones, Eric Fisher, and Sammy Watkins. The Chiefs traveled to Denver on short rest to face the Broncos Thursday night.
In the first rematch of this year's season, the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers faced off. The Panthers were ready for some revenge after the 14-20 loss to the Buccaneers last month. James Bradbury intercepted Jameis Winston's pass on the first play of the game to act as a catalyst for the remaining of the game. The Panthers forced 7 turnovers and scored 17 points off those turnovers in the first half. Carolina's defense pressured Winston for quick, inconsistent playing, and the Panthers went into halftime with a 10-point lead. In the middle of the third quarter, Luke Kuechly had an interception and brought the ball down to the 8-yard line, setting up a scoring play and allowing the Panthers to have a 20-point cushion lead. Despite Winston's 400 yards, the Buccaneers never led the game. Christian McCaffrey, as the NFL's leading rusher, was instrumental in giving leads early in the game and going into halftime with his 2 touchdowns. Kyle Allen completed 20 of 32 passes for 227 yards, and in the end, Carolina got the revenge they wanted. Final score, 37-26 Panthers.
So some interesting things happening in college and professional sports this weekend. But in professional sports, some cool statistics and records being broken. Kyle Allen became the first former undrafted rookie to win his first 4 starts since 1999.
Yeah, that was crazy to kind of hear about that, and that's kind of cool to see how he was able to get that in and get the win for them, so that was fun.
For sure. And the last person to do that was Kurt Warner, which is now a Hall of Famer, all-star quarterback, very high caliber player. So it's interesting to see how this career will pan out.
Yeah, definitely. And then for the Chiefs, too, you know, they had that, I think it was like 13 total flags in the play, and just overall those bad plays that they're getting them, you know, giving those yardage to the other team. That's
very
always
out of
instrumental.
sync, and just very injured team, much in need of a bye week, some sort of rest. But unfortunately, be back in Denver this Thursday.
Exactly. And then on the college side, we also had an upset with the Georgia
upset, yes.
and South Carolina game as well. That was kind of interesting to see them go in and kind of play that team and get beat by an undefeated.
Very back and forth team, lasted to double overtime with multiple missed field goals, including some field goals from very close, some field goals from far away, interceptions, turnovers, the whole 9 yards.
Oh yeah, it's kind of exciting to see those. And now they're, you know, they were ranked 10th, and now they went down into that. So that's kind of interesting to see how that plays out.
Very interesting.
Well, why don't we go ahead and take a look at what's upcoming for Crusader sports.
For men's golf, the College of the Ozarks International will be played this Tuesday, October 14th in Hollister, Missouri.
We've also got the women's playing in that same College of the Ozarks Invitational on Tuesday.
For baseball, they'll be playing Labette Community College this Thursday, October 15th.
In volleyball, we've got several games as they're going on for a homestand. They're going to start off with Central Methodist on Tuesday at 7 p.m. in the Ashcroft Center. Then they're going to host Graceland on Friday at 7 p.m. in the Ashcroft Center as well, and then finish off with Peru State on October 19th this Saturday.
Men's soccer will play against Central Methodist this Wednesday at 7:30 and Clark this Saturday at 7:30.
And the women's soccer also looking the same. Central Methodist kickoff at 5 at Coryell Field, and Clark is going to be Saturday, October 19th at 5 in Iowa as well.
For football, we will be playing Benedictine Saturday, October 19th at 11 a.m. here at Tiger Stadium.
And it's going to kind of see how they go against that ranked team, so it'll be interesting to see
Very
that as well.
interesting. But that is all the time that we have today for Sports Update. I'm Braden Parks.
And I'm Victoria Guerra. Be sure to join us in 2 weeks as we'll bring you the latest sports and news. This has been Sports Update on EUTV.